Good morning. My name is Michael Santos, and I'm the author of the Earning Freedom Journal. This is a journal I wrote specifically for people who are in prison or people who are going into the prison system. This book every day includes some real critical thinking, some questions to help a person develop critical thinking skills, to develop vocabulary, to develop writing skills. And these are the tools and the resources that a person needs not only to navigate his or her way through challenges, but also to help build income opportunities while the person is going through prison and when the person comes home. So every day, one of the strategies that I use is to create a video like I'm doing right now, and I send these videos inside to jails and prisons to people who have access to the Earning Freedom Journal, so they can see really what I mean, why this is so important, how this technique of developing strong critical thinking skills, developing stronger communication skills, develop stronger writing skills is going to lead to higher levels of income and more opportunities as the person moves forward into the future. This is the skill set that I use to climb through 9,500 days in prison and to put me in a position to begin building income opportunities the day I got out of jail, the day I got out of prison. And I've written about that extensively. You can get it all through these courses. But I thought today, being the first day of February 2021, I would show how to use this in real time with an income opportunity I have opened for anybody who's in custody or anybody who's going into custody if they have the right skill set. And I pay $200 for every one of these case studies that I use on my new website, Compliance Mitigation. So what I have to do every day is I have to get up and use this, create this template that you're going to see me creating right here. And this is all designed for me to do it as quickly as possible. So this is how I start a video. Now I've just created the template that's going to be behind this video. Then I'm going to drop it down and I'm going to show you what I have here. Okay? What I have here is a lesson plan, so to speak, that I created to help people understand how to write case studies that they can send to me and that I will pay them to write. And I'm just going to scroll through it rather slowly right here. So I don't know if you have access to read this document on one of those iPad-like devices that people have while they're in prison, but hopefully you have the ability to slow it down and look at it at one screen at a time. But it's a rather extensive description of what I need for somebody to accomplish if they want me to pay them money. Obviously, the person needs to have good organizational skills and good writing skills in order to accomplish this goal. But if they can follow this pattern of a case study, and I've given an example right here, a template rather, of what the case study has to include. So it has to include these sections of a title, a purpose, about the author, learning objectives. Then I tell you what is each one of those. The intended audience, key terms, current state of the industry, future state of the industry, situation, background, analysis, recommendations, a quiz, and then sources if there are sources. That sounds like a lot. I can tell you I can knock these case studies out in about 3 hours, and I pay $200 if anybody else can do it. If it takes them 5 hours, well, then they're making, $40 an hour. If they can do it in 2 hours, they're making $100 an hour. If it takes them 10 hours, they're making $20 an hour, okay? But there's like a sample of a case study. And if you can scroll through it, you can see what it looks like. So it's really important for somebody to be able to do this, but they can't do it if they don't know how to write well, if they don't know how to communicate well, if they don't know how to create a lesson plan. But if they do, then they have a skill. And somebody who comes home from prison who's got this skill, I could pay them $200 a piece. A good writer should be able to knock out 10 of these a week. That means a person could make $2,000 a week. And that's quite a bit of money anywhere. I mean, that's nearly $100,000 a year if the person can follow the instructions. So I received a sample case study from from a person. I'm not going to reveal the name of the person, but I'm going to actually show why this person didn't follow the guidelines, right? The first guideline is title, purpose, about the author learning objective. So let's just go to title. Did this person follow this title? Title, purpose, yes. There is no about the author, okay? And I know that the person wants to be anonymous, but you still have to write a section there, and I told them how to do it. Oh, now they did it, but they did it out of order, okay? Then there's learning objectives, so they didn't follow the order. Then there is, let's see what comes next, intended audience. It comes to keywords, key terms, keywords, that's okay. Current state of the industry is missing here, okay? Future state of the industry is missing here. Now they put the background up there, and then they put it backwards. I mean, it's easy enough for me to cut and paste, but following the basic formula should be important. She's got recommendations here instead of situation, background, analysis, recommendations. So there's recommendations first, and then there is no situation, background, or analysis apparently. So didn't follow the area. And that, as a result of not following the area, I don't have an ability to use this case study. So it's really important to follow instructions. And if somebody follows instructions, then that person can qualify for the job. And I'm making this video, I'll probably publish it on my website so that other people who are working through it could use this as a tool. But besides not following the template in order, I'm going to just kind of work through it and show you what I would do as the what would you call it, the founder of the company, what I need. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to here to Word, and this is a word processing software program that you wouldn't have access to if you're in prison, but I can go up here to review, I can hit track changes, which I just did, and now this person or whoever watches it is going to be able to see exactly what changes I'm going to make. And I'm just going to work a couple of them through and give these samples in real time. So it starts off with the title, Defrauding NSF and SBIR and STTR grants with fake representation and proposals. Well, here's the problem with that, and I'm going to write it. Okay, here's the problem. So now I'm going to go to home. I'm going to choose a bullet point. Okay, and notice that it says red, and then over here on the right, if you saw, you'll be able to see it as I scroll down. It's going to show what I did. I'm going to say this title doesn't really inspire the reader to work through the case study. A general reader will not know what this means. Before I publish, I will rewrite this title. But right now, I don't know what it means. I don't know what NSF or SBIR or STTR means. I doubt a reader would. I doubt a reader would know. So now, I've just shown this is the problem with that title. Okay, purpose. Remember, purpose, was that supposed to be next? Title, purpose. Okay. 1 to 2 sentences describing why this information is important for the intended audience to learn. Okay? I want to be speaking in the active voice. So this case describes, explains, teaches, informs. It's active voice. Let's see what we got here. Learned purpose. I just want 1 to 2 sentences. Okay? I didn't get 1 to 2 sentences. 1 to 2 sentences describing why this information is important. Well, the author did not give me 1 to 2 sentences. They gave me 4 bullet points. Okay? Learn to avoid investigations and follow the contracting terms and conditions. Well, what contracting terms and what conditions? Okay? This section does not follow the instructions. I'm using a learning management system, and I need all authors to follow the instructions given. It asks, let me show you. Let me show you an example. Boom. So then I would take an example here so the person can see. Okay? This case study will show people the appropriate way to adhere this case study will help. Let's try it this way. This case study will help government contractors avoid problems with government investigations and charges, and lessen their exposure to white-collar crime by showing them how to adhere to instructions or to contract requirements. I don't know what this is about, but I'm going to assume it's something like that. So it's just one sentence. This case study will help government contractors avoid problems with investigations and lessen exposure. I can even lessen this down and make it shorter, and lessen exposure to white-collar crime by showing contractors how to adhere to contract requirements. Okay? Simple. That's all this thing is going to do. Okay? Now we've got here these 4 bullet points just to educate myself on what she's offering. No matter how much effort is put into the project, if a false document is submitted within the proposal, well, that doesn't tell me the purpose. Okay? That would go in another area. Okay? Because that's not the purpose of the case study. No matter how much effort is put into the project, if a false document is submitted within the proposal, the grant will be fraudulently acquired, and all the work that has been done on the awarded grant will be disregarded. Okay, so, all right, but that doesn't give me the purpose. The grant cannot be used for enrichment of your family member's life or education. That's not a purpose. Okay? Once an investigation is started, people suffer a loss of dignity, job, peace, money, and reputation. True, but not a purpose of the case study. The government's loss amount calculation and forfeiture. Well, that's not even a complete sentence. Okay? So, true, I'm going to write here, true, but not a purpose. The grant cannot be used for not a purpose. Once an investigation is started, people suffer a loss of dignity, job. True, but not a purpose. And then here, the government's loss amount. This is not a complete sentence and not a purpose. Okay? So, kind of trying to teach here as we go. Analysis. Based on press releases and government publications, Dr. Hahn, okay, well, we were supposed to follow, we were supposed to follow this. After purpose, you're supposed to have about the author. 2 to 3 sentences. That's it. If the person doesn't want to list themselves, they don't have to, but this is where about the author goes, not down here. So I'm going to take this and see whatever she wrote. I'm going to take that down here. I'm going to plug that up here to where it's supposed to be. Okay? And then I'll edit it. Okay. About the author. An employee of a previously SBIR, I don't have any idea what an SBIR, STTR awarded company. That's not a sentence, first of all. There's no verb in that sentence. An employee of a previously SBIR SA awarded company. What does that mean? Modified a subcontract letter under threats of extreme family situation, unwillingly resulted investigation. Not a grammatically correct sentence. Let's try this again. Okay? So, I could write this if the person doesn't want to reveal his or her name. I could write this, author. Just use clean language, active verbs, complete sentences. Okay? The author writes anonymously for compliance mitigation. The author previously worked in government contracting, but faced a government investigation and charges for a white-collar crime. Done. Okay. The author is a subject matter expert on government contracting. Okay? Good. I can learn from that person. I don't need to know the person's name. I don't need to know where the person worked. I don't need to know that the person was in whatever, right? It's just I need to have somebody follow instructions. So those are the instructions. Let's go to the next section of the template. Okay? Learning objectives. That's supposed to be next. Of course, There are no learning objectives here in the next subject. Maybe it follows down. There they go, in the wrong place. Okay, so let's take this down and plug it over here. X. So pretty cool system use word processing. I'm going to come down here and go to X, B. There's the learning objectives. Well, here it says include at least 5 key learning objectives that are specific to the case study content. Okay? Use numbers or bullet points for this list. Include words like describe, identify, explain, understand, okay, that imply specific and active learning outcomes you expect readers to learn. And again, it's important for me that the person learns how to write in the active voice. Okay, I want to minimize the use of the to be verbs like is, are, was, or past tense. Language is much stronger when we learn to write in the active voice. Okay, so let's take a look and see what we have. Learning objectives. How any misrepresentation or untruthful statement. Okay, that does not at all follow what we have here. After completing this case study, the learner will be able to describe, explain, identify. None of that is here, okay? Learning objectives. Let's just see what we have. How any misrepresentation or untruthful statements in the proposal can make the grant fraudulent. We don't even know what we're talking about here, grant, yet, okay? Even if the rest of the proposal has all the other merits to succeed. Most of these proposals have been components such as intellectual merits, team, facilities, quality of write-up, presentation, track record. The proposal reviewers want to see the next unicorn in the presentation. I mean, this language is not going to teach somebody anything. It's going to bore them, and it's not going to work. However, in the process of meeting the reviewer's expectation, applicants end up including misrepresentation and untruthful documents, resulting in an investigation which ends in a loss of an invaluable reputation, job, or business or money. Okay, this may be true, but that's not a learning objective. Okay, this is not. So now I've got to write here. This example, this does not follow the example in the template. I'm not going to rewrite this. I mean, I'm not going to pay for it and then rewrite the whole thing. Okay? Follow the example. After completing this case study, the learning will be able to, few sentences. Okay? What are they going to be able to do in an objective way? Describe, explain, identify. Okay? So maybe, just a suggestion, okay? Maybe, example, after completing this case study, the learner will be able to describe what happens to people to government contractors that violate the terms or specifications of a contract. If that's what happens, I still don't know what happens. Explain the appropriate manner to work through grant whatever. Okay? What else did she write in there? Show how to minimize vulnerability to investigations for contractors. Okay? I don't know. I don't know. I haven't learned yet. Okay? But as the author, I should be able to explain, well, what's going to happen after I go through this case study? Okay? Analysis. Is that what's next? Let's take a look again at the instructions. Okay? Intended audience. Missing. Okay? If I can't even follow basic instructions, I can't expect to get paid because I didn't do what the job said. So go back to the instructions. Intended audience. Do you have that someplace else? There, it's down there again. I don't know why we didn't put these things in order, but before I review them, at least I'm going to put them in order. Okay? Intended audience. What am I supposed to do with the intended audience? Who is going to benefit from this lesson? Is it business owners? Is it employees? Is it managers? Is it investors? People who work in the financial security industry, for example, including company officers, directors, managers. This is what I want to put here. So let's go here and see what we have. Government contractors, grant awardees, subcontractors and grants, university professors, scientists, research, graduate students, officers of technology. Okay, that's okay, but it's always best in professional writing to use complete sentences. And so you want to use a verb here. And we want to do it in an active way. People, okay, so let me take that off bold. People that work in the following sectors will benefit from working through this case study, right? Active verbs, and then I can write government, contractors, grant awardees, subcontractors, and grants, because that's now a big market, right? So we're writing all these things out. That's a big market. Okay, now we're going to go down to the next phase of what's supposed to be the next phase after intended audience is key terms. So I'm going to come over here to key terms, and there we have keywords instead of key terms. That's okay. Let's go ahead and put that up where it's supposed to be. Key terms. Okay, small business innovation research. Finally, I understand what SBIR is. It's small business innovation research. STTR, I don't know what that means. That doesn't tell me what STTR is. I don't know what that is yet. So must mean something. Contracting, grant, accounting, intellectual merit. Okay, I could use those maybe as keywords, whatever. Next is supposed to be current state of the industry. Okay, let's just take this down. Is there any place there? Way down here, not the right place, according to the learning management system. So I'm going to take this up here, go back here, and plug that in place, and go current state of the industry. Okay, most SBIR, STTR. Well, I know that S small business innovation research, but we don't teach that way. We have to teach by, first of all, using the word and maybe introducing it so the person is learning from the word. Okay, so let's just read what's written here. SBIR, STTR awardees do not understand the legal consequences of the document modification, subcontracting, third-party engagement, investment terms. Well, I'm sure they don't. Most communities who bid for SBIR grants and other contract opportunities are scientists and researchers from academia or industries. They come with limited knowledge about the accounting and contracting requirements in these programs. Their proposals are prepared with team compositions and various aspects in technology developing and compelling in timeline. The reviewer likes to see the whole ecosystem of the technology from a concept level to product sale. Well, that's a lot of information here, probably more than I need to have in this section right here. Apply your expertise to provide an overview of the current state of the industry you're writing about. Here's an example. Just something small. For cases on general business, many entrepreneurs do not appreciate how their business decisions can lead to government investigations and criminal charges. If they do not understand, they are more vulnerable to facing blah, blah, blah. Okay? So same thing right here. So the current state of the industry is what? I mean, I just talked to a guy yesterday who got indicted for healthcare fraud, didn't understand all of the complications. Okay? What's the current state of this industry? People apply for grants or government contracts without fully understanding their legal implications. Okay? Period. They may make decisions that result in investigations. They do not know what investigations will cost. They do not know how their decisions could potentially lead to problems with criminal charges. Okay? So now we're going to go to the next one. That's better. This is I got to write an instruction here. Way too complex for this section. Okay? I haven't taught yet. We have to teach. We have to teach in slow, incremental steps, so the learner understands. Okay? So that means no jargon, no SBBR. Just this is the current state. People apply for government grants. They think it's easy. They don't know they can go to prison. Okay? So what's supposed to be next? Well, what's supposed to be next is the future state of the industry. Okay? So we want to find, let's see, do you have future state of the industry? Okay. We want to find subject matter experts that can give real life examples of this subject matter. Okay. The government must educate startups and have staff to, okay, that's what the government must do. But the future state of the industry, if we do our job and we provide good case studies, we need to show how our efforts will lead to better outcomes. That's pretty much the future state of the industry, okay? So, what's the future state of the industry? For example, right here, for example, look at the template, okay? That's all you got to do. You got to follow instructions, okay? Future state of the industry. Apply your expertise to describe where the industry is headed and how increased compliance will improve the industry. Okay, just use your expertise, okay? This is where you have to be an expert, a subject matter expert, okay? What's the future state of the industry? Subject matter experts, when subject matter show how non-compliance can lead to investigations and criminal charges, readers get a better sense of the importance of compliance. Contractors should use better tools to train and team members so that everyone knows the collateral, that might be a big word, the consequences that follow non-compliance for everybody, okay? This is very simple, but that's the future state of the industry. So we want to teach about it. We want to give quizzes about it. We want to make sure that people don't say, oh, I'm going to prison. I didn't even know it was against the rules, okay? So now we get to what's supposed to be next. The situation is what's supposed to be next, okay? In one paragraph, identify the business and summarize the charges. This is where we finally get an opportunity to teach, okay? So do you have a situation here? No, we do not. So we did not follow the instructions. We didn't do the job, okay? Let's do the job and get paid, right? We can get paid if we just follow the instructions. But it's very clear here that we've got to follow the instructions. I need a situation here. I can't use this case study because the person didn't follow the situation. So in one paragraph, identify the business, okay? This section does not exist in the draft submitted, okay? The job, the author did not follow the template and did not complete the job. How could it have been different? For example, here's the situation. I don't know what the situation in here is. Is there a press release here that I could read? Maybe there's a press release that I could read and get a quick assessment of it. Okay, so let's just take a look. That's where a press release is. So there's a professor and wife get probation for research fund frauds. Okay, that's a problem. Okay, here's a university professor that doesn't understand what's going on. A former Purdue University professor and his wife have been sentenced to probation in order to pay a combined $1.6 million in restitution, guilty of using more than $1 million in federal research. A federal judge sentenced these people to 2 years probation. This is what he does. He's got the educational background, but clearly he didn't understand what he was doing. They pleaded guilty to felony charges of wire fraud. That could expose them to 20 years in prison. Okay? Outlined from a scheme in which the national... So this is the situation. Here's the situation. That's pretty simple. I can just really easily, in looking at that article, tell you what the situation is. Let's write a paragraph, okay? The situation. Boom. A university professor and his wife applied for a government grant. They failed to comply with the terms and conditions of the grant. As a result, a government investigation followed. The husband and wife had to plead guilty to a felony. The felony exposed them to the potential for a 20-year prison term. They likely spent tens of thousands at least in legal fees. They should have learned more. They should have learned. That's kind of a conclusion. That's just the situation. Okay? They received probation. Okay? So that's the situation. Really simple. But they will be felons, but the government will now categorize them as felons, which will have an influence on their future career and liberty. That's the situation. Okay? Now we got to go to what's the next stage in the document. It's supposed to be background. Here is where the author should develop this section fully with at least 2 to 3 substantive paragraphs of commentary. Now, maybe the person did that. I don't know. I'm not going to read all this because the person clearly is not following the template. It's making its own way of writing the case study, which is fine. You can write your own form of a case study, but I'm not paying you for that. I'm paying you to follow instructions. Okay? These are lessons that if you are going to go and pursue an income opportunity, you at least have to follow the instructions that are really clearly laid out. Okay? Don't redo it because this won't fit into the system that I have to use to teach. So, did not follow. Let's read what she wrote. NSF has 2 grant programs that are known as a small SBI, Small Business Innovation Research, and Small Business Excellence. So there she's finally using SBIR and SBTTP transfer, but we're not describing them. The purpose of these programs is to increase, we are describing the provide opportunities for small business partners in government-funded research and development. These are highly competitive programs that require intellectual merit with strong business proposition. Only 1 out of 15 companies are selected. It is the only grant program available for small business offered by 11 federal agencies. That's interesting. However, they made a number of material false statements in their application. They were awarded the grants, and watching grants from the state of Indiana, had the NSF known these statements were false, the grants would not have been awarded to Hansen. Okay, so that's not really a terrible background. Okay, we may be able to write with more active voice. Okay, the NSF has 2 grant programs that are known. Okay, we don't have to use these to be verbs. These to be verbs make for weaker writing all the time. Program is to increase. That's a to be verb. It's weaker. So we want to structure our writing in a way that's called the active voice. And that's not always easy. That requires a lot of training. Let's see if I can give an example. Okay? We want active voice. Use active voice. Use active voice sentence construction. Let's see what that means. Okay? NSF has 2 grant programs that are known as the SBA research and okay, so let's teach from that. Okay? Who is the NSF? What is the NSF? First of all, NSF has 2 grant programs known as small innovation. Okay. NSF. I don't know what NSF is. Did we ever say NSF here before? Let's look. Where's the first time I said NSF? Because that's the only time I should use the word. So let's just see. I'm going to go do a search. NSF. NSF. I don't see NSF. Background NSF has two. Nope. This is the first time, and it's not described what the NSF is. Okay. So National Science Foundation. I have no idea. What is NSF? Let's just write that. Home. Home. What is NSF? I assume it's a government agency. Let's just try doing it as if it's a government agency. Okay. 2 grant programs that are known as the let's just try this. NSF has 2 grant programs that are known as a small business. I don't just have to note NSF, a government agency, offers grant programs known as the Small Business Innovation Research. Okay, so that must be, now I'm going to write it, SBIR, and the Small Business Technology Transfer Programs. Okay, so that must be SBT. Yes, SBTT. Okay, that's active voice. A government agency offers grant programs known as the Small Business Innovation Research Bar and the Small. Okay, great. The purpose of these programs is to increase, again, we don't want that. We want to write in active voice. So let's try this again. Let's just do it sentence by sentence for this particular one. It takes a long time to do this, as you can see, if you don't follow instructions. I'm not going to do this every time, because then I might as well write my own case study. Okay, active voice. Use active voice. No to be verbs, such as is, are, was, things like that. Okay? So let's try it another way. The purpose of these programs is to increase and provide opportunities for small business. Okay? So really simple. Just change that to active voice. We've already now given the instructions. Okay? Grant programs under SBIR and SBTT does what? Should increase opportunities for small businesses to participate in government funded research and development. They encourage innovation in the business community. Done. In the business community. Okay? Done. Now I broke it into 2 sentences, which is a little bit easier for a learner to comprehend, and it's active voice. Grant programs under SBIR and SBTT increase opportunities for small businesses to participate in government-funded research and development. They encourage innovation in the business community. Great, that's what they do. Every one of these needs to be rewritten in that way. Active voice. All sentence. We should write, just try to do it here. We should always strive to write in the active voice, like above. Okay, good. What was supposed to come next after background? Analysis. Okay, so there's the analysis. I think now we're at analysis. Okay, there's the analysis. And the analysis, we say what it's supposed to do. Okay, should be fully developed with at least 2 to 3 substantive paragraphs. Okay, we got 2 to 3 substantive paragraphs. I don't know if they do it or not. This is the analysis of what happened. Okay, looks pretty good. I'm not going to read it. Then there's the recommendations. Okay, same thing. Look at here. This says here, in 1 to 2 paragraphs, provide thoughtful commentary. Here's where we show our subject matter expertise. 1 to 2 paragraphs. Maybe a closing paragraph. That's not what we have here. Okay? I don't mind this. I'm not going to read it because I didn't read the rest of it. So I don't know if it's accurate or not. I don't know if it tells it or not. But there's a lot of data here. Okay, fine, love the work, but didn't follow the instructions before, so I can't really go through it in a manner that is effective. And then we've got here this quiz. Is there difference in SBI or SR? I don't know the answer to these things because I didn't do it. Can you sponsor your employees' tuition instead of salary? Can you purchase your personal car from grant money? Can you pay for a party or a vacation? Okay, well that doesn't. Of course you can pay for a party, but you got to relate it to the case study. Can you write a check as an investor in your own company, being a PI? I don't know what that means. Maybe it's in there. But do I give an example of a quiz? So it says the quiz should help learners demonstrate their new knowledge as confirmation learning objectives were met. Write 8 questions consisting of a mix of true, false, single answer, or multiple choice. Okay? All questions and answers should relate to the learning objectives. That's what we're trying to do. I don't think that follows that. There's 5. I know it's hard to do this, but that's what I'm going to pay for. Okay? So once you crack this code, you should be able to do it in 2 or 3 hours, maybe 4, maybe 5. Even if it's 10, that's $20 an hour. If it's 5, it's $40 an hour, right? But it should be complete and it should follow the instructions. And if you're going through this course, make sure that you learn how to follow instructions when you have a job. Otherwise, you're not going to get paid. And I want to pay. Okay? I want to write a check. I will probably send a check to this person today. I will, just for the effort. But I'm going to publish this on the website. I'm sending it into jails and prisons because I want people to learn. And I believe in you. I am Michael Santos with Prison Professors and Compliance Mitigation. I want to show you how to work, and I want to show you how to be successful regardless of what struggles you're going through. That's what I try to do. I know this video is a little bit longer, but I hope you found it helpful.